how many of you know exactly where you are at 5 p.m. Monday through Friday? I know some of you are still at the water cooler staring at the clock. Others are on the phone with that client, that special client. And the rest, well, you're probably stuck in traffic, daydreaming about one day pursuing your purpose and passion rather than just another paycheck. Well, I know exactly where I am at 5 o'clock. I'm on my way to prison. Wait, let me explain. By day, I'm a professional baby daddy, which, AKA, a stay-at-home father of my mini me's, Daniel 2 and Elijah 3. And by 4 o'clock, we're all pressed up against the window, desperately waiting for mommy to come home. And by 5 o'clock, we high-five one another. I kick the door down, and all you hear is the squealing of tires. You can smell the burning rubber. Actually, I drive a Toyota Prius. So there are no squealing tires, and the smell of burning rubber, well, that's just what's left of my mind after serving as the director of Daddy Daycare all day long. By 5 o'clock, I can't wait to go to prison. I don't know what you're laughing at. You mothers know what I'm talking about. So the inevitable question you're asking yourself, because it's a question I ask myself every day, why on earth would you want to go to prison? Friends, every one of us who has ever considered pursuing our purpose and passion rather than another paycheck has had to consider our return on investment, or R.O.I. Now, R.O.I. is simply the personal benefit one can expect from an investment of our resources, such as our time, our talents, and our treasure. If we are going to pursue our purpose and passion rather than another paycheck, we have to consider the R.O.I. And when we consider pursuing our purpose and passion, we have to weigh the risk versus the rewards. And sometimes we will face challenges so monumental that we will have to ask ourselves, can I make any significant difference? Did you know that there are over 2 million people incarcerated in the United States of America? And I learned recently through TED speaker Brian Stevenson that in 1970, we only had 300,000 people incarcerated in the United States. And today that number is over 2 million people. Let's put this into perspective. We are only 5% of the world's population, but yet we have 25% of the world's incarcerated population at a cost of $40 to $80 billion per year. What is our national R.O.I. on that? At the heart of the matter are almost 3 million children of incarcerated parents who, according to the Department of Health and Human Services, are 7 times more likely to end up behind bars. But you will probably never see any of them until you see them on the 6 o'clock news. 80% of those in prison today come from fatherless homes where they did not experience a father's love or discipline. I'd like to talk to you about the reunion. The reunion is a short film that we created that was inspired by the quote of former mayor of Philadelphia, Wilson Goode. Wilson was 14 years old when his father was incarcerated. He said, "I'll never forget the first time I went into a prison and I saw a grandfather, a father, and a son all in the same prison at the same time. And as I was leaving, the grandson pulled me aside and he said, 'I met my father for the first time while I was in prison. And I presume that my son will meet his father for the first time in prison.'" Friends, it is possible to have 4 generations in the same prison at the same time. But I believe, my big idea, I believe that if we can help one father turn his life around, and he in turn can lead his children down the right path, we can change the world, at least that child's world. And as a good friend told me, if we can't change the world, why bother? Talk about an ROI. If you step into the arena, if you pursue your purpose and passion, don't think that everyone around you have the mind of a world changer. As a matter of fact, Johnny referred to our enemies. I'd like to share a story with you about my journey to pursuing my purpose and passion. It came through a couple of crucial conversations. My wife and I owned a landscape operation where we hired predominantly ex-offenders. Our purpose was to give convicted felons an opportunity for a new start in life when they return to our community. One day, around tax time, we had a come to Jesus meeting with my smart people. You know, the accountants, the attorneys, the advising consultants, whose main mission was to make me money. "Look, Jerod, we love your heart and passion, but at the end of the day, the bottom line is the bottom line." Which meant, if I didn't make money, they didn't make money. The meeting continued. "Look, you're hiring all these ex-convicts who have a high probability of returning to prison in 3 to 5 years. You cannot expect a good ROI on that kind of investment." Which is partially true. These men are in an environment where they're conditioned not to think for themselves. They're just a number. They are not able to work unsupervised. They're always looked over by a guard. And they're not allowed to have authority over one another, so their team building skills are minimal. And what are employers looking for? Self-starters. Work unsupervised and work well with teams. So the question became, were we going to help these families and how? Or were we going to pursue just a little more profit? This was a question that I would have to take to a power greater than myself. My wife. After all, happy wife? You can be happy or you can be right. So after taking my wife to dinner at Taco Bell, remember, maximizing ROI. am watching the movie The Shawshank Redemption. You may be asking yourself, what's The Shawshank Redemption? What? Like the only greatest prison flick ever. And I quote Andy Dufresne, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best thing, and no good thing ever dies. And then my favorite quote by Morgan Freeman, aka Red, get busy living or get busy dying. Which led me to this quote that I found at my table at lunch. I asked permission to use this. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is people to come alive. And that was from Howard Thurman. So Red said, get busy living or get busy dying. The net result of that conversation was that we decided to sell our business and that I would dedicate what's left of my life to prison, transition, and reentry ministry. So I ask you today, what is it that makes you come alive? What is your purpose? What is your passion? Because as we were all informed at the beginning of this conference by Bonnie, from the moment we are born, we are destined to die. At the end of your life, when you look back, what is your R.O.I? Now, you may not know what your purpose or passion is, and you've heard a lot of big ideas today. Get behind one. Give it everything you've got, and you will not regret it when you come to the end of your life. Today, our ministry's R.O.I are men like Josh. Josh was 15 years old when he was incarcerated. He was 25 years old when he was released. Today, he's a newlywed. He's finishing a degree in counseling. He's a youth pastor at his local church, telling young men how not to go down the road he went. And he's also employed as a counselor at a prison less than half a mile from the prison he was released from. And when we met Scott, aka G095830, that G letter means that he had been incarcerated 8 separate times. 18 separate institutions, over 28 years of his life wasted behind bars. Today, he's been out of prison almost 5 years. He's employed at a local prison reentry transition ministry, and he's the first man many men see when they're released from prison and return to our community with nothing more than $50 in that blue bag containing everything they own on this earth. Today, I know the positive influence a father can have on their children, because I too was formerly incarcerated, and 14 years after my release, when I get out of prison at night and I come home and I open the door and I kiss my wife, my boys come running up to me. And as I hold them close and I say, "Who loves you?" Whether it's Elijah's daddy or Daniel's dad, there it is. my R.O.I.